It is Friday, June 12th, 2026, and this is The High Road, Logistics and Leadership. I'm Jules Sterling, and I keep the peace when the supply chain starts to pull at the seams.
This is Elena Rossi.
I'm Dan Miller.
And I'm Buck Reynolds. We have a great show for you today.
We really do. Yesterday, we touched on those Amazon LTL operations expanding and the Mac Granite redesign. But today, okay. The news cycle is moving even faster. We have Volvo setting a hard date for driverless trucks, a massive $10 billion merger in the powertrain world, and, Elena, you've got some updates on a very creative, if you can call it that, cargo theft tactic. But first, Buck, I saw you circling some notes on Volvo autonomous solutions this morning.
Circling? Here's the deal. I was nearly tearing the paper, Jules. Volvo Autonomous, VAS, just laid out their driver-out roadmap at their Capital Markets Day in Sweden. They are officially targeting Q1 of 2027 to pull the safety driver out of the cab on U.S. highways.
Actually, that is barely 9 months away.
9 months. They've already activated a 200-mile autonomous corridor between Dallas and Oklahoma City. They want 300 of these driverless rigs on the road by the end of next year. Yeager, the president of VAS, he's out here saying 1 out of 10 trucks you see in a decade will be driverless.
Look, here's the play. Yeager is talking about doubling vehicle utilization. If they take a California to New York run and cut it from 4 days down to 2, because the computer doesn't need a shower or 10 hours in a sleeper berth. That is a massive touchdown for the shippers.
It's a touchdown for the bean counters, Dan. But my thing is, what happens when a steer tire gets soft at 75 miles an hour? I mean, Venti Technologies just hit 500,000 miles in logistics hubs, which is fine.
Actually, they're doing yard work.
Exactly. Yard work is low speed, controlled. But Volvo is talking about $3 billion in autonomous revenue by 2031. They're moving from proof of concept to full-scale industrial deployment. Even ABF Freight is buying Teslas now.
It's sort of a AAA world, right? Autonomy, automation, and asset-light scaling. But, okay, Jules, what about the software that actually runs the loads? Trimble just dropped their next-gen TMS for North American shippers.
Is this the no-rip
Yes. They're calling it a strategic nerve center. The big deal is the modular approach. For years, my retail clients have been stuck with these legacy systems they can't afford to replace, you know?
Actually, monolithic is the industry term for anchor around your neck.
Right? So Trimble is letting them plug in AI agents, like the new order intake agent, without a full system overhaul. It connects to 210,000 carriers.
Bottom line, it's about agentic execution. The software isn't just looking for the truck anymore. It's independently resolving the disruptions.
My thing is, if an agent makes a bad decision on a tender, who holds the liability? That's a claim nightmare waiting to happen.
Now it's time for the Big Board, our Friday segment where Jules and I break down the high-stakes institutional chess moves and market valuations.
Okay. This week, it's all about DHL's massive expansion in the Asia-Pacific.
Look, DHL is building a moat. They just added 130,000 square meters of data center logistics capacity in Malaysia and Thailand. They aren't just moving boxes, Jules. They are doing server rack assembly and functional testing inside the warehouse.
It's sort of a technical certainty play, right?
Exactly. Hyperscalers want one partner for the whole life cycle. And look at the Dutch battery hub. 17,000 square meters for high-voltage EV batteries. They're aiming for 3 billion euros in new energy revenue by 2030.
Well, Cooney plus Nagel is also playing for the asset-right moat. Their stock surged 13% after they expanded their Inspire charter network in Frankfurt.
Now, here's the play. They're moving away from being a pure broker. They want own-controlled capacity with those Boeing 747-8F freighters to insulate themselves from Red Sea volatility. K&N is maintaining a 27% conversion rate because they aren't just buying space, they are the carrier.
It's sort of a professionalization of the whole boardroom, right? Even Lineage is shifting board pay to equity to act more like big tech.
The big board. That's a wrap.
Actually, we need to talk about what's happening on the ground. Overhaul issued a major security alert yesterday about a high-value theft of AI hardware in California.
Another Trojan driver scam?
Actually, no. This was a separation tactic. The shipment was protected by an escort vehicle. The criminals staged a rear-end collision with the escort vehicle. While the escort driver was forced to stop to exchange information, the transport truck continued its route alone. During that window of separation, the truck was diverted and hijacked.
Oh my God. Okay, they're weaponizing the legal requirement of an accident stop?
That's pure grit on the wrong side of the law. I mean, you talk about organized crime. That's a sophisticated play.
Look, this is exactly why the TIA filed an emergency petition with the FMCSA yesterday.
They're demanding a federal safety standard for carrier vetting?
Bottom line, the Supreme Court stripped brokers of their legal shield back in May in that Montgomery case. Now, brokers are getting sued for negligent hiring even though 90% of authorized carriers have no official safety rating from the government. It's a vetting crisis, Jules. The brokers are being held liable for the government's failure to grade these fleets.
My thing is, compliance isn't a back office task anymore. It's a primary financial risk. Before we move into the maintenance crunch, a quick note from our sponsor. Strategic logistics requires world-class engineering. This show is powered by The Stack, developed by Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media. Support the architect behind the code. Visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Neural Network Media for a free trial and access to our daily briefing PDF.
Here's the deal. Even if we vet the drivers, we're running out of parts. That global memory shortage is finally hitting vehicle CPUs and ELDs. It's forcing fleets toward the uptime mandate. We're ditching the mileage-based service schedules for condition-based triggers.
Offense over defense?
Exactly. An unplanned repair in 2026 costs 5 times more than a scheduled one. If a transmission fails on the shoulder, it's an $8,000 incident before you even lose the customer. We're using AI-driven telematics now to watch usage intensity.
Right. But, okay, Jules, what about the iron itself? Eaton and Dana are merging their powertrain divisions in a $10 billion deal.
Look, that's the reverse Morris Trust transaction. It creates a one-stop shop for OEMs. They're trying to survive the diesel-to-electric transition by pooling their R&D.
Great. So one company owns the transmission and the axle. Hope their software doesn't have a bug.
Well, okay. That brings us to our lead story today, and it's a big one. The trade landscape in North America just hit a massive regulatory pivot. Following that Supreme Court ruling earlier this year that struck down those broad emergency tariffs, the IEEPA ones, the White House has moved aggressively to re-tariff the economy using Section 301 authority.
They're calling them the forced labor tariffs. You see, the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, the USTR, is proposing new 10% to 12.5% duties on products from 60 different economies.
It's sort of a refund mania situation right now, right? Because Customs has to start issuing refunds for the old tariffs that were struck down, while shippers are simultaneously trying to prepare for these new Section 301 duties.
Actually, if I may. The Tier 1 group, which includes Canada, Mexico, the EU, and the UK, is looking at a 10% duty.
Wait, Canada and Mexico?
Yes. Even our USMCA partners are getting hit under this forced labor framework. Tier 2 is 12.5% and covers China, Brazil, India, Japan, and South Korea.
Look, Jules, this is going to be an administrative nightmare for your retail accounts. I mean, the Court of International Trade just ordered Customs to start the refund process in March. And here we are in June with a whole new layer of taxes.
My clients are literally losing their minds, Dan. They have to track the origin of every single component to prove it wasn't produced with forced labor, or else they hit that 12.5% wall.
My thing is, does this affect the iron? I mean, if we're getting truck parts from Mexico or Brazil, are those prices jumping 10% next week?
The USTR is taking public comments right now. But historically, Section 301 tariffs are sticky. They are much harder to challenge in court than those emergency IEEPA ones were.
Bottom line, the government found a legal moat to keep the trade barriers up. And look at the rail side of this, too. The Union Pacific-Norfolk Southern merger, that $85 billion deal, is facing intense scrutiny from agricultural shippers because of this tariff-walled economy.
Right? If you can't get goods in from overseas without a 12% penalty, you're relying even more on the domestic rail and truck networks, right?
Actually, it's worse than that. The Jones Act is currently suspended via emergency waivers because of the conflict in Iran. That has opened the door for a permanent repeal of the Jones Act for the first time in a century. If that happens, foreign-flagged vessels could start moving freight between U.S. ports.
Look, here's the play. If the Jones Act falls while the Section 301 tariffs are rising, the entire logic of shipping domestic versus importing gets flipped on its head.
It's sort of a strategic reset for every logistics VP in America, right? They're sitting there looking at their landed costs and realizing that the old math is just, okay, it's dead.
And don't forget the maritime sector. DNV just joined the Digital Container Shipping Association to push for standardized data exchange in container shipping. They're trying to use electronic bills of lading to navigate this regulatory mess.
Good luck with that. Standardizing paper is one thing. Standardizing 60 different countries and their forced labor reports is another. I mean, I'm looking at the cost of a new reefer unit, and if those Section 301 tariffs hit the components from Japan or South Korea, my margins are gone.
Look, Buck, that's why DHL and K+N are buying their own planes and building their own battery hubs. They know the asset-light broker world can't survive this level of regulatory volatility.
My thing is, we are entering an era where the lawyer is just as important as the fleet manager. If you can't prove compliance at the border, your truck doesn't move.
Well, okay. I think I need another green juice just thinking about the paperwork. I mean, between the memory shortage hitting the ELDs and the 12.5% tariffs on South Korean electronics, it feels like we're fighting a two-front war, right?
Bottom line, Jules, the companies that win are the ones that can orchestrate the uptime and the compliance. It's not just about moving freight anymore. It's about moving data through a legal minefield.
Precisely. Complacency is the precursor to a $10 million tariff penalty.
Or a nuclear verdict from a negligent hiring claim. Well, okay. I think that's about all the good news we have for today. That does it for us here at The High Road, Logistics and Leadership. From the Q1 2027 driverless countdown at Volvo to the high-stakes forced labor tariffs that are reshaping the landed cost of every part in your rig, it's been a fascinating and slightly exhausting look at the strategic reset of 2026.
Bottom line, keep your eyes on the big board.
Exactly. Stay vigilant out there. Whether you're vetting a carrier for safety or watching your escort vehicle's rear bumper on the way out of the Bay Area.
Right.
Bye.
See ya.
Later.
Keep it between the lines and keep the freight moving. We'll see you on Monday.